Okay, so what I'm doing now is my fuel lines. So I'm running a 8 AN feed and a 6 AN return. And so what I'm doing is I'm using AN fittings for everything. And you take this little collar right here, and there's a ridge on the inside of it, and it sits right against the little Teflon PTFE rim. So let me see if I can take a picture. So you can see right here, this is the purple, or the pink is the collet, and then the yellow is the PTFE hose on the inside. So you're trying to get this little collet right here in between the braiding and the Teflon. You don't want any of the braid underneath it or it won't seal properly. And they usually, the kits, the nicer ones anyway, will send you a little expander tool to make it easier. You can kind of just like open it up a little bit, and then this is nice. Then just very gingerly try and get this started. And then you just want to take it against something flat. So I'm just going to use my bearing press. Let's see how this works. It's hard to do this while recording. It's much easier over on my like little work table, but there's not very good light. You can see, maybe you can't see, but it's almost there. You kind of see it. There's like the ridge up top, and it's like halfway there. So you kind of just keep working it down until you get everything nice and flat. And you'll kind of feel it just like sit itself in. Almost there. Now you don't want it to be too tight against there because it does expand. But you want it to just like nestle right on the edge of it. And you can kind of just take this, push it a little more. It's like it's almost there. So close. Keep working it. A little more on this side. Let me pause this and get it done, and then I'll come back. Okay, so a little finagling. You can see that it's in there now. Focus. And then make sure before you do that, you want to put your end on. I've done that before, you'd pull it all out and do it again. And then what you do is you get your end, looks like this, with like a little hose end looking thing, and you just push that in to here, and then you get your AN wrenches and you tighten it down. And as you're tightening these down, you don't want it to bottom out. You want like just a little bit of space left. So I can kind of try and show that if possible. Kind of just try and leave like a gap, just like almost like a hair width. Don't know how well that picks up on camera, but it's just a very thin gap, and you can see through the end of it. It's almost like, I don't even know, 2 thou, maybe 3 thou, 3 thou gap, and then that is good to go. So now I'm going to throw in my fuel pressure regulator. Got a nice AEM Aeromotive. Which one is it? Oh, Aeromotive. It's all the 85 compliant, so I'm going to throw that in right here. Got this spot nice and out of the way, out of all the other lines. Fuel lines will come right up underneath, so it'll make it super easy. So I'm going to mark up some holes, drill them, and then I'm going to use an M5 riv nut to put that sucker in. Alright, so now we got 1960 or 1964 bit, so it should go right in. I like the way these look, and I feel like it helps distribute the load of the bolt a little more, especially using rib nuts. Down just a bit. See how we're sitting. Looks like there is plenty of room. Alright, yeah. Alright, cool. Mount that, tighten those up. And rib nut should have no problem holding these. There's gonna be no force on this fuel pressure regulator. It's like a quarter of a pound. I don't foresee this being an issue. What size do you think that is? 5/32 maybe? Nope. Must be a 7/32. Nope, of course. It's 3/16. There we go. This is a really nice gauge too. Liquid filled, oil filled, and everything. And then once you get this guy installed, there's a little pin you got to pull out and push back down. And I believe that sets the pressure for as the base reading for where you are based on altitude and whatnot. Beautiful. And this is a rising rate pressure regulator too. So once I have the turbo running, it'll be able to feed more fuel through this little vacuum port right here. With fuel pressure regulator. Okay, so now that the excuse me, basically I have kind of everything where I want it, where I think it'll be, I'm gonna start running I'm gonna put my fuel tank back in, which is, don't mind my shop, it's a bit dirty, right there. And you can see I have my out, which will go to my surge tank, my lift pump, and then I have my in, my return, which will come back from the surge pump. These are both 6 AN, but everything going, but the fuel from my surge tank up there is 8 AN, so that'll be 8 AN all the way to the front, and then 6 AN all the way to the return. So I'm going to get this sucker loaded in the back, kind of get an idea of where I want to route lines and stuff. So follow me along. And so you can see, got my light in here. Show you a little bit. See, you got my 8 AN, 6 AN coming in. Mounting brackets. Eventually, what I'm gonna do is I'll run corrugated pipe around these. They're not stainless braided, but should be fine for now. I don't see any issues. I got the gas tank in. One thing to know is those bands are actually, like, they fit each side perfectly, at least on mine they did, so I'll kind of try to remember which ones go where. But once I get these lines run a little more, I'll update you some more. Fuel system is going in. Alright, so here's my fuel filter right here. 100 micron, and that will go into my lift pump. It's like a 300 liter per hour, so it's like half of what my EFI fuel pumps are for my surge tank. And this is going to come from the fuel tank to the pump, from the pump, and that will go into my my surge tank. And I'll kind of show that under the car, the piping and stuff that are the lines that I run and stuff. So that's that. All right, so here's my surge tank. It's a Nuke Performance, and I went with a Holley dual setup. So how this works is you have gas feeding the surge tank from the car's normal gas tank, and that will come in through any one of these three, 1, 2, 3 inlets, and then you'll have another one which is a return line from, say, like this one. This will be my return line from my fuel pressure regulator. And then another one will be the output to return fuel back to the tank. So like this is like your fuel tank return line port. And then you have two outlets, which are right here. And these typically would go to, like, each one of these would be outletted to one fuel pump. And then you would Y the lines from the fuel pumps. But Holley has a nice little setup. Let me see if I can get a little bit better lighting. Has a nice setup where it basically mounts the two fuel pumps together into one. So I only need one outlet. So I plugged the other one with one of the plugs that came with it. And this is an 8 AN. So this will feed here. This will go through the pumps. From the pumps, this will flow through my 10 micron filter, which is this guy, which will be mounted in the car, but like this. And then that'll feed through there, and then this right here will go to my fuel injectors. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to wire up my power negatives for this, because each one of these draws, like, I think up to 20 amps each. So I'm going to wire each one with its own relay that'll kick on with my power. I'll have a fuel button to kick these on, and then my lift pump will be powered separately from the EFI system too. I would definitely pick up a set of these guys. It comes in like a bag of like 20 of them. I don't know, it's like $12 or something, but instead of having to make your own 2-pin Deutsch connectors, you just have a whole bag of these. It's so nice. They're weather sealed. I think there's 14 gauge wire, 16 gauge wire. So these will be more than adequate to power fuel pumps for each one. So we'll get to that. All right. So what we're gonna do is do some crimps and some weather sealing to get these all nice and pretty. What's nice is these come with all the little boots and everything that you need for these, as well as the nuts and that sort of stuff. I don't like the crimp connectors that they provide, so I'm going to be using my own that tend to heat shrink better for me, at least. Get those out. Make sure you put these on before you start crimping anything, because then you can't get them back off. And each terminal on these is a different size, so you got to kind of pay attention to which crimp connector end you're using. So the terminal lug on the fuel pump, one is smaller, one's like a 3/16, one's like a 1/4 inch or something. I'll show you what I mean. So I got those guys on there. And you can see, like, so each one of these different size holes. So like the little one won't fit on here, but it'll fit on this one. This one fits on the bigger one. So obviously I'm gonna be using red for power, black for ground. Pretty standard. And I kind of want all my stuff to go the same way. So this one here. And these are nice too, because they already come pre-stripped. So you can just slide them right in, you're good to go. Makes this really quick and easy. You can always make your own for anything you want to do, but I figure for what it costs, the can't really beat the convenience of it. But it is good to have other Deutsch connectors as well, though, because if you have a bunch of these running under your engine bay, they're not labeled or the labels fall off. It gets super confusing what plugs in where. So it is good to, that's why a lot of like the OEM plugs, all of them will be different, even if they're using like 2-wire or 3-wire or 4-wire under the engine bay. It's just so that it's basically idiot proof, so you can't mess up plugging them in, which is really nice because I've already messed that up once with my oil cooler fan and my coolant fan. I had to go through and test which ones and label it right because I used these. They were all right next to each other and I wasn't thinking. There we go. Now I'm gonna heat shrink these guys and then we'll mount them up. And the reason that I'm going with a surge tank too for this instead of just running the stock fuel tank is the stock RX-7 fuel tank was designed for carbureted applications. It wasn't really meant for like high flowing, high pressure EFI. And when you're tracking the car, it has a tend to slosh the fuel to one side because there's no baffling in the 83 model. And even in the later ones, the baffling isn't the greatest. So when you're tracking the car hard, even relatively speaking, you can really starve the car. And when you're running high pressure fuel pumps and stuff, it's really not good. You don't want to do that. So I'm running a surge tank, and that'll just eliminate all the issues. I don't have to upgrade the fuel tank. I don't have to do any of that shit. Just put this in, good to go. So now these are all heat sealed. I'm gonna get these all mounted up. Oh yeah, I want to take these off. It's a little easier to get to the bolts. That's what's really nice about this kit too. Is like, look how easy this is. There's washers on each end and they fit a certain way. So I'm just gotta kind of be mindful of that. Move that. Bam. Tip or something. Had that happen. It lit up my harness that I had been working very hard on. And there we go. Look at how nice that looks. Nice and professional looking. Should have no issues with anything shorting or anything. So now I'm going to start running some more of my fuel lines underneath the car. So I'll bring my camera under there and kind of show you what's going on down there. And so you can see I've got here is my 8 AN feed. So that goes to my throttle body intake. This is my 6 AN return. This is where the fuel will come in from my gas tank. Quite dark in here. So we can turn this up 1 sec. So you can see up in there, kind of, is basically I have a feed coming out and a return going back in. And that is what will feed my surge tank. So now what I gotta do is figure out where exactly I want to mount my lift pump filter and pump. So what I'm thinking is kind of like where it was mounted sort of before, where it's like I kind of had it mounted here, but maybe here. I'm not sure exactly. There is some space up here, so I could mount it like up here for just my at least for the filter, and then have the filter run to my pump, which I could probably mount maybe somewhere in here. Let's see. Gotta figure this out as we go, because this isn't like, it's quite a large pump compared to what was there before. What I could do is, I wonder. Okay, so here's kind of what I got going on for the surge tank. This will be cleaned up, obviously, once I get to it, but we got right here, so this is coming in here. I'm going to have a rubber grommet that'll fit in here nice. This is the return to the tank from the surge tank. So that's a 6AN line. And then you got your out from the surge tank into the two pumps right here. And then this, oops. And then right here is the out. That'll be an 8AN line, and that will go, let me go walk around. And that 8AN line will go to a filter, and it'll run down, and it'll go right in here. So I have these pass-through AN fittings. There's an 8AN, then we got this guy right here, and we got this one, which this is the input. This line right here is the return from the fuel pressure regulator up in the engine bay, and then you'll have, these are the lift pumps. So I have some knock-up line that I bent up, did the 37-degree AN fitting on those for the hard lines, and this is what will fill, and that will come out from here, which is underneath. That's the line that I run underneath the car from the tank. That'll go here. It's a should be level. It should be underneath the gas tank, but it's about level with it. And since it's just a lift pump, I don't think it'll be an issue. If it does, I'll just have to relocate stuff a little bit lower, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. And maybe there's enough room for me to kind of put it under here, maybe, but it's kind of awkward. So I'll figure it out though. Figure out what we need to do. And that is pretty much the entire system for the fuel surge tank, at least. And this will all be, I'm basically going to take like the OEM style back. I'm going to take the OEM sheet metal that goes like here, and it makes like your little glove boxes for the back. And I'm going to cover those completely, and I'll seal it up with some like maybe some styrofoam or something to kind of help keep the noise down and insulate everything. But it should be sealed off completely. The only things that I'll have in the car will be my 3x4 braided lines. Should be okay. If it's not, I mean, within regulation, I'm not exactly sure. I have to read up on it and learn. But if not, I'll do a full firewall from the back up with either Lexan or something, so it'll kind of separate the cabin from the gas. Shouldn't be an issue then. But I'm going to keep cleaning everything up, and then I'll give you an update once everything's all hooked up and kind of where it's going to be. Okay, so basically, fuel system is done now. I mean, I'm going to clean it up and kind of make it look pretty and stuff, but it's kind of mocked up where it needs to be. The hoses are cut and everything. All the AN fittings are on. You can see I got lift pump to the surge tank that pulls from the fuel tank. That is, there's a 100 micron filter before it, and then a 300 liter per hour E85 compatible. Everything is E85 compatible that you see in the fuel system as well. So that's a 300 liter per hour fuel pump. Goes up into there. Then I have a 10 micron going from my pumps, which are right here. So these are about 850 or 900 liter per hour, basically equivalent. So you got those two there. It comes out through there and in. And then you have the return line, which goes underneath. And then, yeah, so that kind of does it for the fuel system. I'll be mounting it up nice, and I'll kind of just like clean everything up, and it'll look all pretty once I'm kind of done wiring everything. But yeah, that does it. So now I'm going to put the suspension back on, kind of get to work on doing all the electrical work, putting the interior back on. But we're getting there. Slowly but surely, progress is being made. Well, hope you guys liked the video this week. Leave a comment, like, subscribe, shoot a question. Yeah. All right, thanks for watching.